Hi guys, welcome, welcome. I'm absolutely gonna make fun of you, but it's from a place of love. When kids care about their learning, they learn more, they learn better. The problem with gifted education, gifted kids love to learn. They don't always like school. The most dangerous words in the English language are, we've always done it that way. Kids today have more access to more information than any group of humans in human history. So don't make teaching about winning or losing. Make it about collaborating. It's up to this generation to do it better.
Please give a warm welcome to Dr. Matsupreski.
Good morning and welcome to my keynote. I'm Dr. Matsupreski. Everybody calls me Dr. Matt. We're going to learn a lot this morning. We're going to have some fun. So, they gave me the long introduction. I personally hate introductions. They're the professional equivalent of people singing happy birthday to you at a restaurant. It's like, what do I do with my hands? Like, oh, this is pure death. Great, great. See a lot of friendly faces here, a lot of people I know, a lot of people that at the end of this hour will know me a lot better or for worse. So, what are we going to do today? We're going to talk about what interest-based learning is. We're going to connect that to why it's effective to educate our kids. And then we're going to do a little practice. We're going to make this tangible for us. Now, I'm happy to share my slides. So I want you to engage in this in the best way possible for you. If you take notes, cool. If you just want to stare at me awkwardly, do your thing, right? But I don't want you to worry about the content. You're going to get that. So we're going to start with a little exercise. Think about what you do for a living. Now, we could probably guess that a lot of you are teachers. That's right, I'm gifted. Right? But I know there are some mental health professionals in here, there are some administrators. Whatever your job is, think about that job. All right? Really picture it in your brain. Then, think about what you like to do for fun. If free time exists, what would you like to do with that free time? So think about that as well. Got that thing in mind? Super. I'm going to need 3 volunteers. Who's feeling brave? We got 1. Extroverts, activate. 2. 1 more. 3. Oh, you're right in front. You're making my life a lot easier. I'm going to get all my steps in. Hi, your name is? Jessica Pajoli. The full name, Jessica Pajoli. It's 1 word, Jessica Pajoli. I actually ordered that in an Italian restaurant last night. Sorry, it's an easy joke. All right, so Jessica, what do you do for a living?
I'm a clinical psychologist.
Fantastic. Not talking to you anymore. All right, clinical psychologist. Let's see, where are my other 2 hand raises? I know 1 and 2. Cool. We're going to run over here. Sorry, film crew. I told you I move around a lot. Hi, what's your name?
Christina Edelman.
We're doing a full name thing. Christina Edelman. Christina Edelman, what do you do for a living?
I'm a teacher.
Fantastic. That's easy. All right, we're going to run over here. Hi, what's your name?
Lori Miles.
Lori Miles. And Lori Miles, what do you do for a living?
Teach.
Fantastic. Lori Miles, because I'm here, I'm going to make you my guinea pig. This is fun. Lori Miles, you're a teacher. What do you like to do for fun?
I like to walk outside in the beautiful sunny air.
What an exciting thing to talk about. I enjoy vanilla ice cream and soft music. Now we can make walking work. All right, so I want you to grab a piece of paper, which you have, and a pen. All right? And I want you, when I say go, to write me 10 pieces of information about something. The 10 pieces of information I would like you to write are about the Peloponnesian War. This is why you never volunteer without finding what you're volunteering for. All right. Now, you're a teacher, right?
Yes, I am. Okay.
I would like you to write 10 things about being a teacher. And my fellow mental health professional down here, what do you like to do for spare time?
Hike. Camp.
Why? Hike and camp. All right, camping we can do. All right, write me 10 things about camping. Yes? All right, we're going to do a timer. We're going to do 30 seconds. Go. This is the dead air portion of the video. Now, while I am torturing my colleagues here, when you guys were thinking about your jobs, you know a lot about what you do. A lot of experienced professionals in this room. And when you think about what you like to do for fun, that's an engagement piece, right? Your brains lock into that. So, did you come up with your 10 things about camping? Almost. Now, what was that experience like for you? Was that easy or hard?
It was easy to envision it. It was hard to come up with specific things.
Easy to envision. I like that. All right. How did we do with our 10 things about teaching?
I think I got too detailed, but I'm about halfway through my
You are definitely at the right gifted conference. What is teaching? It's hard to think about that in the Keanu Reeves voice, like, whoa. All right. And look at this. And our Peloponnesian War. Did you write the word Peloponnesian?
Yes.
Fantastic. Because what is the Peloponnesian War without Peloponnesia, right?
Exactly.
People suffer death, hope, power, leadership, food, and weapons. Awesome. So, it sounded like a Dashboard Confessional album, right? Hope, power, death, weapons. Now, the idea behind this exercise is that we choose our jobs and we choose our interests. But school makes us not talk about those things. You have any interest in the Peloponnesian War? Shocking, right? Actually, I don't know. Miss Walk over there is like, I walked to the Peloponnesian War. I actually did this exercise once, and the kid goes, oh my God, I love the Peloponnesian War. I was like, you have got to be kidding me, right? Hey, it's a gifted conference. You know, you can only guess so many times. So that's the thing. When I ask our colleagues here, what's easier, what's more enjoyable? It's always easier and more enjoyable to talk about the things we choose, we like. I randomly picked the Peloponnesian War, and I don't know if y'all could see her face, but she gave me the, huh? Face. How often do you see that face from your kids? The great state of New Jersey has said that we got to teach certain things at certain times, and that is valuable. But is it what our kids need? We're going to talk about today to take the things we are required to teach and make them more accessible for our kids. So interest-based learning, it's when kids identify their interests and use those interests to drive and lead learning experience. The purpose of this is to encourage engagement and intrinsic motivation to build passion for learning. Because the problem with gifted education, gifted kids love to learn. They don't always like school. Now, I was a gifted kid, right? Born and raised in New Jersey, Monmouth County for life. And I'll tell you, as a very bright kid, oftentimes I would sit there and be like, why do I need to know this? Anybody else grow up in the 90s where it's like they had to learn square dancing? I can still square dance, but at what cost? Right? IBL channels that intrinsic motivation, that inherent interest in things that kids like, and make that accessible to the things we need to teach them. And we're going to expand inquiry and discovery to increase that engagement in learning. Now, what does engagement look like? Student engagement is the mental state that students, while learning, representing the intersection of feeling and thinking. What a fabulously dull explanation. You know when your people are engaged, right? I said, you know when your people are engaged, right? There. Let's go, right? One of my favorite things to do when I'm giving talks, and I give talks all over the world, is I pick that one person, oh, there she is, who's on her phone.
Telling my gym teacher how you were just talking about square dancing. We were just talking
Square
about
dancing,
in
right?
the 90s. We literally just had a whole conversation about this yesterday.
I mean, it was the worst, right? Like, first off, like, it's Jersey. Do we associate Jersey with square dance?
It's not something you should be proud of.
Right, which is why we're trying to give Warren County to Pennsylvania. We'll take Bucks, y'all can take Warren, right? Okay. Engaged students make meaning with the content they're presented with rather than passively absorbing information. Because we are past the point of passive absorption in education. Kids today have more access to more information than any group of humans in human history. It doesn't matter whether we teach them the state capitals, because I got this fancy box in my pocket that can look that up for me. What we're trying to do here is find ways to connect with things, to make meaning. I don't care that the capital of Pennsylvania is Harrisburg, as much as I care, why is it in Harrisburg? Why not Philly? Why not Pittsburgh? Why not Scranton? Why not Mars? Why not Intercourse? It's a real town. So the engagement we're looking for comes from 3 areas: cognitive, affective, and behavioral. We're going to talk about all 3. But first, a case example. Several years ago, I got called to consult on a case at a small independent school outside of Philadelphia. We got a kiddo there. I'll call him Aiden for the purposes of this story. They're always named Aiden, by the way. Aiden or Kyle. So Aiden, Aiden's one of those kiddos that brilliant, but an absolute pain in the ass. The best thing about giving talks in New Jersey, though, is that I can curse. I gave a talk in Oklahoma once, and a woman literally clutched her pearls. I said the word butt. Right. So Aiden, brilliant kid, 4th grader, but an absolute pain in the ass. A lot of emotional regulation problems, a lot of behavior problems. And they were trying to teach him the 4th grade curriculum, and he was just not connecting to it. He was one of those kids, and we've all taught this kid, right? Who, if he doesn't connect with it immediately, well, I'm just going to set the world on fire, right? Fun fact, he actually did that once. So they bring me in, they're like, we know he's brilliant, we know he's gifted, we know he's a pain in the ass, we don't know how to reach this kid. So I talk to him and I say, Aiden, let's get school out of the way for a second. What do you like to learn about? An important question, right? Bex, what's that up on the screen there? A big ship. Do you know what specific big ship it is? I'm a white person. What big ship is it? There we go. Of all the people, a big ship. Take a lap. So yes, Aiden had a real fascination with the Titanic. And Aiden really wanted to talk about the Titanic. He wanted to learn about the Titanic. He was that person that could find a way to take any conversation and loop it back to the Titanic. Oh, it was interesting weather this weekend. There was interesting weather on the Titanic. So I said, all right, Aiden, here's what we're going to do, bud. I want you to try and stay in class. To try and stay in class, I'm going to help your teachers teach you the stuff you got to know through the lens of the Titanic. So for math, if the Titanic was made out of 6,118 pieces of steel, and those pieces of steel weighed on average 3,300 pounds, how much tonnage of steel was on the Titanic? Now, if we take out the fancy window dressing, that's a word problem. It's a multiplication problem. He had literally broken a pencil in the previous math class, like, so, but then he was like, hold on, got the answer. English class, write me a story about what it was like to be on the Titanic. Science class, how the hell do boats float? Like, logically, I know it, but in my heart, I don't think it's true. In gym class, we talked to your gym class teacher about this, right? Instead of get your trash on my front lawn, get your iceberg off my deck. In art class, we're painting pictures of the Titanic. All of a sudden, Aiden, he's locked in. He's given me that engaged face, right? Now, he didn't become an angel. He's not that kid. But all of a sudden, we're spending much more of our energy actually teaching him, hey, guys, you can sit up front if you'd like. There's also some seats over there. Some of us are here to learn. Oh, they don't know I'm a wise ass yet. Hi, guys. Welcome, welcome. I'm absolutely going to make fun of you, but it's from a place of love. So Aiden starts engaging in class. And when he starts engaging in class, the teachers like him more. And when teachers like him more, he behaves better. And when he behaves better, they can teach him more things. And they start to realize he's got sort of a sneaky sense of humor. And he's pretty clever. So all of a sudden, sending 4th grade through the lens of the Titanic made Aiden an easier kid to teach, and he made him like school more. And the best thing about all this is that we burned him out on the Titanic, so we made 5th grade all about dinosaurs. It's like, let's go, right? So this stuff works. Now, yes, this was at a small private school in Pennsylvania. But we can take the theory behind this and apply it to whatever classroom you're in, whether you're from South Jersey, Newark, or anywhere in between. So the cognitive engagement piece of this is how much kids are attending to and spending mental effort on their tasks. Now, gifted kids often don't have to spend a lot of mental effort, right? Things come easy to them, so they don't know how to flex that cognitive muscle. But if we make them care, then we make them flex the muscle, right? So the things we're looking for here are kids being curious, kids wanting to understand. That's psychological investment in learning. And then the key thing is the personal transformation of learning, right? So your name is?
Lisa,
Hi, Lisa. How you doing?
very good.
Lisa's giving me anxiety face right now. She's like, what is it going to make me do? Lisa, I see you're wearing an Ocean City shirt.
Yes,
You like Ocean City? Right? Why do you like Ocean City?
because it's just my happy place on the beach.
Now, her face, I don't know if all of y'all can see it, it went from anxious terror to, oh, Ocean City. A personal transformation, right? It's just a shirt, but it's a way to connect. Then we talk about feelings, right? As a psychologist, feelings are kind of where I live, right? So it's the level of kids' investment in and their emotional reactions to tasks. When kids care about their learning, they learn more, they learn better, right? They also connect with their peers about it better, that group learning. Because, I mean, how many of y'all have ever tried to do a group project with gifted learners? Are we healing from the physical and mental? Their eyes got huge there. It was awesome, right? So we want kids to have interest and enthusiasm and passion. And gifted kids are allergic to bullshit. They're allergic to inauthenticity. So instead of trying to create that artificially, like we're not running a pep rally in class, right? We are connecting to the kids already care about. That's what we're here to do. And then they participate in learning in multiple ways. And then behavioral engagement. This looks like kids going to class, staying in class, asking questions, being more behaviorally regulated. Because if they've got stakes in the game, they have a reason to stay. The only reason I survived public school is that it was written into my plan that when I was done with tests, I could doodle. And I covered any piece of paper that wasn't bolted down, filled with cartoons. If I wasn't able to do that, you know how idle hands work, right? It's like, what's holding this desk together? And the desk falls apart. They gave me something to do. But I would have much rather done the learning I wanted to do. That's what we can offer our kids. And all of this is nice because it maps onto the fundamental idea behind psychology, where thoughts lead to feelings, feelings lead to behaviors, and our behaviors reinforce our thoughts. When our kids walk into our classrooms, they're coming in with that baggage, that school doesn't work for me. My teachers don't get me. I don't fit. Those thoughts are going to lead to what kinds of feelings? Happy feelings? We're talking dread, anxiety, depression, disengagement. Kids will disengage to protect themselves. And then when kids disengage, they act disengaged. And since a lot of teachers will take that stuff personally, they'll say, well, Johnny's a bad kid. Johnny doesn't care. I'm going to tell you this. It's our job to make Johnny care. If we can make Johnny care, then Johnny will do the work. We can make him connect to what we're teaching, and let's do better. Is Dan here? Dan Freed? Where you at, Dan? Oh, he's late. Or he's like anxiously waiting in the hallway because he knew I was going to call him out. So Dr. Dan Freed is here, one of my favorite human beings. He teaches biochemistry for kids. How many of y'all would be excited in taking a biochemistry class right now? Gifted conference, there you go. A couple people are like, yes, me. But the reason I love Dan is that he makes biochem accessible and exciting to kids. He takes their natural interest and connects to it. That's a great teacher. And every single person in this room is capable of being that kind of teacher. I'm going to offer you a roadmap to get there. Now, you might be saying to yourself, if I don't know this, how do I do it? I need to know the whole thing before I do it. And I'm telling you, that's actually not how learning works psychologically. When we have an authentic, intrinsic motivation, it gets us started. Starting's the most important thing. As we start, we can learn more as we go. So the famous story about Einstein, right, is when Einstein published the theory of relativity, he knew the physics. He didn't know the math. And he knew he had about a year to learn the math because he knew everybody in the European academic establishment was coming for him. And if he had waited another year to learn the math, he may have never published the paper. Or somebody else would have beat him to it. He trusted himself. He said, I know the physics. I can learn the math as I go. My very first job in college, I was a bartender. And I knew how to pour a beer because I was in college. And I could figure out how to pour wine. The only cocktail I knew how to make was a rum and Coke, because the rum goes in the thing and the Coke goes in the thing. But the guy who hired me said, yeah, you're personable, you know enough about this stuff, we'll teach you how to make drinks. You're going to lean on your soft skills until you learn the things. And the dirty little secret about bartending is that you make the same 8 drinks over and over and over and over and over and over. And every so often someone's like, I would like a buttery upside down super cow. Flip, flip, flip. Oh, that's how I make it. Shake, 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 you pour the drink. Right? The thing is that y'all are here because you're great teachers. You can leverage that to get this process started and then learn the steps as you go. And if you have those kids who are like, I don't know enough about this to do a project on it, you can learn the parts you need to know as you go. And the idea here is when we have that interest in learning, like Einstein was interested in the theory of relativity, instead of finding roadblocks or reasons to stop, we encourage that and we set up what we call a virtuous cycle. Because when we're interested, we learn more, we go down those rabbit holes, we learn more when it's even outside the classroom, and then we connect back to learning more about it. How often in school do kids say, I want to talk about particle physics? And the teacher says, well, we're here to talk about the Lenni Lenape. And it's like, we definitely need to learn about the Lenni Lenape. That's a joke that only works in New Jersey, by the way. But I want to tell that kid, I also want to talk to you about particle physics. Because there's a way to layer in particle physics to what we're doing right now. And the way to do this is through differentiated instruction. Now, this is Caroline Tomlinson's work. And DI is a student-centered, interest-driven way to teach the kids we have, not the kids we wish we had. We're going to anticipate their difference in their readiness, their interests, and their motivations, and we're going to play to kids' strengths. We always want to search for strengths when we're working with our kids. We don't want to be deficit detectives. Because remember, behavior is communication. If a kid tells you they like particle physics, they are showing you a part of their soul. Who would we be not to follow that? That's what we want to do. Every teacher can differentiate content, process, and product according to our kids' readiness, interests, and learning profiles. When you talk about Aiden and the Titanic, right? So we differentiated the content, the process of learning, and his products through his interests. We didn't not teach him English. We didn't not teach him art. We didn't not teach him science. We just sent those things through the lens of the thing he already cared about, the thing he had already showed us. So to demonstrate this, we're going to take a pop quiz. Cue the anxiety spike in the room. I'm going to make y'all do some content on one of my favorite things to talk about, the Great Molasses Flood of 1919 in Boston, Massachusetts. I like you. It's a fun one. God, I love gifted conferences. I picked the most random, obscure thing, and she's like, that's cool. I actually have a tattoo of it on my arm, right? Now, other than my friend right here, who in this room knows anything about the 1919 molasses flood in Boston? Not a lot of hands, guys. Shocking. So if we were going to do a unit on this, who would feel most comfortable taking a chapter test on that? Who would feel most comfortable writing a paper about it? And who would want to do a 10-minute presentation? So let's do show of hands. Who would feel most comfortable with a chapter test? After you've studied. I've taught you the lesson. All right, raise them high, gang. We're all friends here. So there's my chapter test people. Who wants to write a paper on it? That was me. I was like, ooh, I can bullshit my way through anything. And I have a doctorate, so think about that. And who wants to do a 10-minute presentation? Extroverts, my people, right? And that is a simple way to differentiate. Look how the energy in this room just went up, right? We went from everybody's like, oh no, we have to do a quiz, to I want to do a presentation. Every single one of us can offer that choice to our kids. And the research on this means that kids get better grades, they engage more, they like their teachers more, and they like school more. There is no downside. It's a really great way to engage your kids. Because it's all about the power of choice. It is not us versus our kids. We are co-creating learning. You guys all go to a lot of PD. You ever been to that PD where someone just talks at you for an hour? Is that fun? Does that respect your knowledge and experience as educators? Do you live there feeling impassioned and empowered and ready to go? Of course you don't. And I'm telling you this, I try to do a lot of things in my keynotes. The one thing I try to do is make sure I'm honoring y'all's experience. I can't do what you guys do. If you put me in a 4th grade classroom and told me to teach them math, I would scream and run away. I can't do what you guys can do. But I can take the stuff I know and hopefully amplify it. I want to co-create that with you. That's my job. So when we co-create learning, we honor kids, we honor their experience, we honor their intelligence, and we honor who they are. We're not just teaching a room of faceless humans. We're teaching people with strengths and weaknesses and hopes and fears and trauma and baggage and passion. Why wouldn't we invite that? And if we take choice away, you breed passivity or defiance. The simplest thing we can do for a kid is offer them choice. Now, it doesn't mean, okay, well, I'm just going to sit here and let y'all run the classroom. That's a bad idea. What we're going to do is strategically offer them choice to keep them engaged and to help them do better. Why do you think you've got this whole menu of course selections today? Can I use this right now? Right? Why do you think you have all these options for breakout sessions today?
All of us are going to want to do something else because based upon our interests and our needs.
What's your name?
Sharon.
Sharon, who did not give her last name. Actually, it's just like Madonna. She's just Sharon. But she's right. Because how awful would it be if we just frog marched you, now you're going to this breakout, now you're going to this breakout, now you're going to this breakout. We're giving you choice. We're honoring your interests as educators, as professionals. Now, y'all didn't have to come to this. I'm very happy you did, and I hope you guys are happy you did too. But it's all about choice. But think about how little choice we give our kids. Wherever we can offer it, that's how we're going to engage them. That was a very big response. That's just a graphic I pulled off the internet. But that's all. Woo! Doors! I like you guys. This is fun. We're having a good time. So, it is easy to think about working with kids as I win or you win. What I like to call dig in or give in. So if I want to teach a kid about World War II, and my kid wants to learn about Pokemon, right? So what's your name? Takis? So Takis, does World War II and Pokemon have anything to do with each other? Not that she knows of. So you might be drawn into this I win or you win thing, right? But there's always a middle ground. There's always a third door solution, right? That's one of my go-to words here. So we're not going to pick 1 or 3. We're going to try and pick 2. So did you know in World War II, they used a lot of bombs? Do you know that there are some Pokemon that explode? Her eyebrows are going whoop. So if you could find me the Pokemon that explode, then we could talk about how Pokemon layer into World War II. You know what they are, don't you? He's like, I leveled up at Pokemon Go 6 different times. I'm with you. Hey, listen, Pokemon is awesome, right? That's a third door solution. So don't make teaching about winning or losing. Make it about collaborating, right? Because kids are so used to adults saying, no, we can't talk about that right now. But if you're the adult that says, that's really cool, let me use that to connect with you, you're going to be the adult they remember forever. Because my job as a psychologist, when I work with these kids, I cannot tell you how many sessions I do talking about deep Star Wars canon, right? Oh, no, not that. I took so many sessions on World of Warcraft and Dungeons and Dragons and Pokemon and Digimon and the other Mon that I can't remember. But what that does is it shows them it's not about me. The more I know about you, the more I can connect with you, the more I'm going to find that third door solution. That's how we reach these kids. So we do all of this through the 8 steps of IBL. The first is finding an interest. Once a kid has been introduced to this concept of IBL, and you can absolutely use this PowerPoint to do the work for you, work smart, not hard, we're going to create a space for kids to explore their interests, and we're talking about how there's no bad ideas. Now, I had a kid on Tuesday morning, that I got a call from his school that he had climbed on top of the gymnasium. Not a great thing to start your day with. But he had climbed to the top of the gymnasium because he had heard that there was a pool up there. Who remembers hearing that in high school? I remember. Rumstead Fairhaven Regional, I swear to God, there's still a pool up there. But he was like, the physics don't make sense. Water weighs so much. I'm going to go check. So his interest is, can the roof of a school support a pool? After his explorations, he found out the answer is no. He also found out that you get in a lot of trouble when you climb on top of the auditorium. But there are no bad ideas. There are bad implementations. So we're going to find our interests. Then we're going to focus those interests. I mentor a lot of grad students at Bridges Academy out in LA. And they come to me with their ideas. And they're like, I'm going to write my dissertation on this. I'm going to write a dissertation on how to increase motivation in gifted learners. It's a great idea. Way too broad. I'm going to increase motivation about mathematics in Latino students. That's a thing we can talk about, right? So they tend to be too big, and then kids will get upset. No. It's a great idea. We just need to make it an answerable question. Then we're going to make an action plan. I've got a plan. We're going to collaborate on this. Where are they going to track their goals? What are their timelines? You know gifted kids and timelines, right? I'm going to do everything. Oh, I actually have to work at it? Never mind. We're going to have to make some meaningful timelines to hold them accountable. We're going to talk about what their available resources are. I was doing this exercise with a kid last year, and he was like, all I need to do is have a one-to-one meeting with Neil deGrasse Tyson. Well, shit, if it's that easy. All I need to have is an electron microscope, which I have here in my pocket. I mean, come on. So we've got to have realistic things. But this is also a way to flex those social emotional goals because you don't know if Neil deGrasse Tyson will take a meeting with you until you ask. You don't know if you have access to an electron microscope until you email Rutgers and say, Rutgers, buddy, can I holler at the electron? No? Okay, but at least now I know, right? So you make a plan, and then the teachers keep track of it too. Here's what an action plan might look like. You print it out, you fill it out, you create it online, you put it in Google Classroom, so it's a thing to refer to. Because our kids are going to yes us to death. Because I can do that, I can totally do that, I can do all the things. And then they're going to forget about the timelines, or things are going to take longer than they think, and then they're going to panic. But this is a thing to increase accountability. It's not a punishment, it's a structure. Then you gather your resources. We figured out what the gathering resources looks like. Now we got to go get them, right? If you're a NJAGC person, this is where you put in the more knowledgeable other, the MKO. So in Fairhaven schools, Knollwood School, which is where I did my middle school, we had a science fair and we had a history fair. For the science fair, I got it up in my head that I wanted to make a comet. And do I have anybody here from Neptune, by the way? Just any? No way, really? That's Neptune. So I found a place in Neptune, and my mom and dad drove me down there to buy dry ice because comets are really made of dry ice. And I convinced my 7th grade principal, Daniel Bland, true story, that's his actual name. Sounds like a character from Harry Potter, right? And Mr. Bland. And he was like, fine, if you really want to make a comet out of dry ice, do that. I found a science professor, Mom, was at Ocean County Community College? Ocean County Community College, who taught me how to make a comet. So I did the thing I wanted to learn. I got the help I needed. I found someone who knew a lot more about this than I did. And then I did my presentation, and I finished in 2nd place. No, God, you know you're at a gifted conference. Oh, I did great, guys. Oh, my God. Guys, if you could zoom in, I want to make the Jim from The Office face. All right, we're good. It's also a way to talk about literacy and accountability and talk about what are credible resources and what are not credible resources. Who in this room uses Wikipedia? Raise your hands. Wikipedia is a great place to start. Not the most credible resource, but the links at the bottom of the article are credible resources, right? Regardless of your political leanings, InfoWars is not a credible resource. And I bring this up because you might get people who bring in different kinds of websites, right? That's a part of this. We're not going to slam the doors. We're going to say we're looking for the most rigorous resources we can. Go for the most academically neutral stuff you can, right? The American Journal of Science does not care about your politics. It just cares about science. Then design and research. Do your research. This is the longest part of the process. This is where kids are going to have the most trouble because it's really about connecting and what this thing is going to look like. There's informational research, experimental, and tinkering. You're going to have to figure some stuff. Trial and error is a part of this process. But if kids know it's part of the plan, they're not going to panic. Products. Final products can be anything depending on the question we ask. As simple as a one-pager. As complex as a movie. I have a kid who got so into learning about asbestos poisoning that he started a podcast about asbestos poisoning. Now, I can't tell you the name of his podcast, but I'll tell you this. He's got so many followers, it blows my mind. There's a lot of people on the internet who are like, yes, I too would like to learn about asbestos. So it doesn't matter what the product is, as long as it's authentic and useful. Because I like to draw cartoons, I would ask every teacher I ever had, can I draw a cartoon about this? And some teachers were like, there's no room for cartooning in mathematics. Womp womp. Some teachers were like, if you can explore the scientific method in cartoons, go with God, my child. So I went with God, my child. So this is where you're going to play into your kids' strengths and their learning styles and their engagement. You've got that kid who's already sort of a stand-up comedian, right? Can you do a 5-minute stand-up comedy set about the Industrial Revolution? I'd love to see you try. Would you have guessed 10 years ago that somebody could write an internationally famous musical about Alexander Hamilton? But now it's the most successful musical of all time. Or if you've seen Six, about the 6 wives of Henry VIII. They took that simple rhyme from PBS and made a 90-minute musical out of it. We can make anything out of anything. And when we think broadly, our kids think broadly. It's not just about chapter tests. Because think about it. Everybody in this room did at least 16 years of education. A lot of us did more, but at least 16 years. How many chapter tests do you think you took? Hundreds? Thousands? How many of them do you remember? I remember one because my physics professor in high school spelled physics wrong. Physcis. Mr. Hubner! I got sent to the principal's office. So the idea here is kids don't remember chapter tests. If they opt into them, super. But they're going to do products that make sense to them, so they'll work harder at it. Step 7, an authentic audience. Because increasingly, the knowledge we have depends on our ability to transfer it to other people. Raise your hand if you've ever been to a terrible PD event. Every single person in this room is raising their hand, right? You want to find a way to take your information and transfer it authentically and engagingly. You don't have to come up here and do the stand and deliver stuff I do. If that's your thing, Beck's looking directly at you, then do it. If you want to write an awesome white paper, do it. If you want to make a podcast, do it. But you'll find your authentic audience presenting in a way that's authentic to you. And doing that not only motivates our kids to learn more and do better, but it's also building those vital social-emotional skills. And then we debrief and celebrate. There are so many better pictures about debriefing, but this one is just, stock images, right? Why would this picture exist? I don't think it's an accident that the guy in the middle looks like Christian Bale from American Psycho. Huey Lewis in the news, man. But debriefing is a reflective technique designed to reflect and process and take the best parts away. Part of the reason gifted kids struggle is no one ever gives them meaningful feedback. You are good at art. Continue doing art. Not how to improve at art. Right? So then gifted kids start thinking about feedback as either good or bad. But feedback's about growth. Right? I don't learn anything when I get feedback from an audience about a keynote. He was great. Thank you. I think I'm pretty awesome. But one of the best pieces of feedback I ever got was, you're so passionate you talk too fast. That is a really good piece of feedback. That's a debrief. I needed that information. Because every so often when I get talking really, really fast, I slow down. We do the compliment sandwich. You did this thing well. You can continue to work on this thing. Here's what I want you to do next time. That normalizes that nothing is perfect and growth involves change. The change comes from the stuff we're not as good at. That's okay. It solidifies learning and encourages that next step. And if your kid fails epically, there's learning in that. As my dad always told me growing up, in life you either win or you learn. Now, I have learned a lot more in my life than I've ever won. But every one of those things brought me to this moment. And this moment will bring me to the next moment. Because it's about learning, not about winning. And then when we're done, and we've done the thing, and we've done it well, we celebrate. So do me a favor, guys. Is there a thing this week you've done that you're proud of? Raise your hand. It could be you made it to this conference. It could be you planned this conference. But if there's a thing you did that you're proud of this week, start clapping. And if there's a thing that you're proud of that somebody else did this week, keep clapping. And if you like clapping because clapping sounds really good and it brings up the energy here, then keep clapping. Yeah! Every time we clap, the energy in this room goes up. When our kids do something well, we celebrate it. Because doing well is a big deal. And when you're a gifted kid, you get so used to getting the A's, the gold medals, that you do the thing where it's like, I finished in second place, and somebody goes, "Aw." Success needs to be celebrated because play is the work of childhood. And when kids have fun, they learn more, and it sticks around longer. It reinforces that learning process. It isn't just, I did the thing, I got a 97, I'm moving on with my life. It's I learned, I stretched, I grew, I did the presentation. It wasn't perfect, but I grew from it, and I am damn proud of myself. Every time I do a talk, I get myself a little sweet treat for afterwards. So in my bag, I have a chocolate chip cookie. And when I'm done talking to you fine people, I'm going to demolish that chocolate chip cookie. Later on, it's going to be a beer, but that's neither here nor there. And then here's where I get the detractors. Here's where I get the, life isn't fair. We don't always get to do what we want. I didn't have these things, and I turned out just fine. So in my professional opinion as a doctoral level psychologist and international expert in gifted education, so what? If we did it and turned out fine, and we do best practices now, won't we turn out better? You might not be able to do this every time. There's probably no way to send state testing through the lens of Minecraft. We can try. But every time we follow these practices, our kids learn more, engage better, and do better. So we don't have to do it every time, but if we do it more times than 0, then it's a net benefit. So yeah, people are going to say, well, we don't need to do that. We don't need to, but shouldn't we anyway? Isn't best practice a good idea? The most dangerous words in the English language are, we've always done it that way. It's up to this generation to do it better. Am I out of touch? No, it's the children that are wrong. So where are my younger teachers in here? Where people who've been teaching for less than 10 years? Raise them high. All right, I'm pointing directly at y'all because the people who, sir, you didn't raise your hand. You guys are going to have to be the ones who drive this. And your colleagues will be like, well, I don't know, when I got my bachelor's degree in 1994. Yeah, that was 30 years ago. Never. Hey, listen, I turned 40 last year. It's fine. I'm an old. So the idea here is we can connect anything to anything. What do you want to talk about? What do you need to talk about? And how do you like to produce your work? A great exercise for this is putting it into action with 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon. So, all right, sir, your name is? Joe. Joe, how you doing, Joe? Joe also doesn't have a last name. Joe, give me an actor. Please don't say Kevin Bacon. Matthew McConaughey. All right, all right, all right. So Matthew McConaughey was in contact with Jodie Foster. Jodie Foster was in Panic Room with Kristen Stewart. Kristen Stewart was in the reboot of Charlie's Angels with Samuel L. Jackson, who was in A Time to Kill with Kevin Bacon. All right, give me another one.
Molly Cusack.
Molly Cusack?
Joan
Joan?
Cusack.
Wait, I can make Molly Cusack work because I don't know who that is. So Joan Cusack. Joan Cusack was in Say Anything with John Cusack. John Cusack was in 1408 with Samuel L. Jackson. Samuel L. Jackson was in A Time to Kill with Kevin Bacon. All right, now we've done the actor thing. Your name is? Sam. Give me someone who's not an actor. This is not hard. Many people are not actors. Billy Joe, love it. Billy Joe Armstrong, lead singer of Green Day. 'Cause I want to be the minority. All right, Billy Joe Armstrong wrote a Broadway musical. Broadway musical, the original cast of that included Jeremy Jordan. Jeremy Jordan, who was in the Supergirl TV show on the CW with Melissa Benoist, who was on Glee. And when Glee did the episode of Footloose, Kevin Bacon made a guest appearance. All right. It's a party trick. You're goddamn right it's a party trick. These are the moments where I'm like, thank God I'm not single. This would not play well on a dating profile, let me tell you. So, we've done the Kevin Bacon stuff. We have learned that I have a very weird brain. All right, your name is? Julia. Fabulous name. It's my wife's name. Julia, what is a thing you like to learn about?
Pokemon.
Let's go! She's a plant. All right, and your name is? Louisa. Louisa, what's your favorite subject to teach? Math. All right, Pokemon and math, how do we make it work? Say it again.
Aren't there like points on the card?
There are points on the cards. So if Squirtle, a water type, is fighting Charmander, a fire type, Charmander gets a ×3 defense bonus against Squirtle, because fire and water. So if Squirtle uses Water Gun, which is 10 combat points damage, 7 times, how many times does it take to knock out Charmander, who has 81 points of health? Now that sounded complicated as hell, right? But for our kids who speak Pokemon, they're like, Julie's like, of course, that makes perfect sense. But why would Charmander use Flamethrower when he could use Fire Spin? Get out of your head, man, right? So the idea here is that just like we can connect anybody to Kevin Bacon, we can connect any subject to any subject. So, give me a subject. Any subject in school. Science, we love science. Who doesn't love science, right? Give me an activity somebody might like to do.
In science? Or
Nope.
ski.
Skiing. How do we apply science to skiing? Slope. Speed. Velocity. Friction. Weather. Where the hell does snow come from? What's the difference between real snow and that crap they make in the Poconos? Right? I lived in New England for a while. I was like, oh, this is what real snow feels like. Oh. So we can connect anything to anything. But if the kid likes skiing, we've just found a way to make them care about science. And that's the whole point. So the outcomes of IBL, kids are more engaged. They retain more information. They use it more effectively. They develop more autonomy, independence, and executive functioning skills, and it turns directly into social emotional growth. It also burns us as teachers and parents out a lot less. Anybody in this room burned out right now? Not at the end of this fabulous keynote, of course, but yesterday you, right? But of course, we all work too hard. This IBL is a way to work smart. And it's more aligned with 21st century skills. So our kids will show us the way if we let them and if we guide them. And they're going to be more resilient, and they're going to have more fun, and they're going to get more grades, and they're going to be better set up for the future. And that's why we got into this field, right? Nobody in this room got in here because they love state testing. They got into here to see that light shine in kids' eyes. To get them, then they come up to you like, guess about this thing I just learned. Those are the moments. If you do IBL, you're going to have a lot more of those moments. And you'll realize why you fell in love with teaching in the first place. So you guys were a fabulous audience. Please give yourselves a big round of applause.